Yo, what is going on, fam? Welcome to the video. Today I'm going to teach you the best way to play Spellblade or Staff Dagger in large scale. I have two different variations of builds for you guys to run. One is like a true mage, just straight damage. The other mage is kind of like a mage assassin that has a slight bit amount more survivability, but still has some amazing damage. These builds are centered around um, utilizing your range, your long range abilities, your long range CC in order to control the fight. It is much different than the melee spellblade playstyle. Therefore, it is better used in large scale, medium scale. That being said, it does work in small scale with the right team composition. However, it is not as good in 1v1s versus certain classes as a melee comp. It does work for all situations, it's just not as good. But that being said, we'll go ahead and hop into the video, show you guys what it's all about. This is 100% what you guys are going to want to run for large scale fights. This is the true mage setup. It comes with Hellfire Rain, with the Meteor, Fireball Range, or Fireball Barrage, I'm sorry. Icebound Tomb that's spec'd into Icy Mire for AoE CC before you Hellfire Rain. We have Fatal Stigma for the cooldown reset and the damage boost for single target burst or anti-heal on tanks and healers. Then we have our standard AoE combo, Fireball into Inferno Wave, Chain Lightning. And then we still have Detonator Bombardment for the max 10 burning stacks. That being said, not only can we instantly apply 10 stacks of Venom with Detonator Bombardment, we can also get an instant 10 stacks of Burning with Fireball Barrage. So if you were to inject Venom, Fireball Barrage, uh, ideally you would inject Venom, Fireball, Fireball Barrage, Detonator. That way you get some Burning stacks. Onto the target with a focused firebomb, and then you're getting poison stacks with detonator bombardment. You'll immediately have burning stacks and max 10 poison stacks on that same target. So Fatal Stigma is gonna hit insanely hard because you have, like I said, max poison stacks, and then you'll have burning stacks for the detonator bombardment to blow up immediately. You could also Hellfire Rain, find a good target, fireball into uh, detonator, judgment lightning into detonator. You always want to use judgment before you detonate. Keep that in mind. That way you still have the burning stacks for the extra damage. There's a lot of really good ways to play this. I think this build has some insane high skill potential or skill ceiling for people that are really good with rotating skills depending on the situation. However, I will say that this build is a bit more complicated than the melee build, but if you master it, kind of how you saw in some of the clips, you can really start fragging large scale because you have so much range and so much abilities to really just control the map. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys my gear. I had hit 5.6K during our last stream. I got my 2-piece Spectral Overseers. I'm rocking the hit chest piece. Keep in mind, this is magic range endurance. Ideally, I'm hitting pretty decent thresholds. The gloves are mostly for the hit chance, weaken chance. The dex is pretty nice. Hit chance, wisdom, weaken chance on the chest piece. Again, hit chance on the pants. This is a hit build, you guys. Hit on the helmet, bonus perception. I'm getting range on the cloak. However, you can 100% use this with the hit cloak. Eventually, I will get the hit cloak. It's just this one was cheaper when I was getting my first set of gear. Until the Cordy's necklace comes out, I'm using the extra crit on the Deep Draconic along with the mana cost efficiency. It's somewhat useful. And then we have the magic range endurance bracelet. Got really lucky on this as a drop for the heavy attack on the ring. If you don't get this ring, what you could do is use Ring of Eternal for the extra crit. But the heavy attack is also nice. Solitary Purity for the hit and attack speed. Oh, another ring you could also use is the green ring that drops from Pakilo, which also gives hit. So you could use the hit ring, the crit ring, or the heavy attack ring. They all are pretty much viable in this build. However, your stat allocation will look slightly different based on what you choose. And then we're using the Hero's Legacy War Belt. Ideally, I wanted the Endurance Belt for the higher endurance thresholds, but seeing as how it is now Arch Boss, I think the Hero's Legacy is a bit easier. And then I will eventually get the Imperial Boots at some point that also have hit to replace my Shadow Harvester, but it's not out yet. Hopefully, it does come out soon. Peerless Obsidian Daggers, Queen Bellander. If you don't have Queen Bellander, you're going to want to use Fire Daigons. If you can't get Fire Daigons, I suggest that you wait for Gray Eyes. If you, I absolutely like cannot wait because all of your other gear is maxed out, your daggers are maxed out. Then the only other staff that I would potentially use, I mean, I wouldn't use it, but that I would recommend that you use other than what I'm using is the Evan Soulwind. I don't really like the stat spread of the staff and line reform, but the weaken chance and the crit is not bad. It's just the fact that you don't get too many stats, so your stat thresholds are going to be a little lower. I think the stat thresholds on the Evan Soulwind are slightly better, even though it doesn't give you any crit. If you're going full glass cannon, maybe go for the Enlightened. If you want some utility, you need those stat thresholds, maybe go for Evan. But like I said, guys, I would wait. I highly recommend you wait for Fire Dagon, Gray Eyes. Both of those staffs are just way better. Gray Eyes isn't out yet, but it should be out soon, hopefully. Um, yeah, that is my gear, you guys. I will make sure that I update the quest log to reflect my current build. This did change slightly from what I originally planned in the quest log, but that's due to gear availability. Hopefully you guys like the build. 50 strength for the heavy attack, 60 strength for the crit, 60 perception for the hit, and then eventually we will try and get 50 wisdom for the cooldown and for the max damage. But wisdom is our last priority after we've hit 50 strength, 60 perception, dex. I've also ran this build with 70 perception. It was really, really good, but the heavy attack from strength and the anvil opted me more for a strength build. It also makes you more survivable because you have more physical defense, the more strength you have. Um, for the skill specializations for this build, I like the moving fireball barrage because standing still for a couple seconds just kind of feels bad sometimes when casting the skill. The cooldown speed is really nice. Chain lightning, extra burning stacks on Inferno Wave with consecutive use. Icebound Tomb with the bind is a must. You need both. You need Icy Mire plus the bind. The single target Icebound Tomb is only for like really, really small scale or like arenas. But ideally, I think the Icy Mire and Bind is just better because you can AoE bind. It also allows you to attack them when they're bound. So for what we're trying to do with this setup, Icebound into Hellfire is insanely good. And then we have High Focus. You could use Victorious Energy. Um, if you really need to hit. However, I think the cooldown reduction in large scale is a bit more important because you want to rotate your skills as quickly as possible. You want your skills off cooldown as quickly as possible. Um, Typically, because I have such high hit, I'm hitting most skills, and we're also cleaving groups, so we're not really missing a lot. Um, Obviously, Detonator Bombardment, you need both of these. Focus Firebomb, we need everything all the time. Fatal Stigma, the cooldown reset and the damage increase is really nice. I do like the AoE damage with Shield Block Pin. Um, it is something that is very useful. You could take off the CC immunity for camouflage cloak if you are really good at timing your cloak. I think they did fix this patch. It seems somewhat back to normal. But yeah, you could potentially swap CC immunity for the AoE damage. Completely up to you. The AoE damage is pretty nice because if you fatal stigma with max poison stacks and a good amount of burning stacks, then you can deal a lot of damage by bursting this target. And if you kill that target, this Fatal Stigma hits, and then the Inferno Wave hits off the dead body, and you do massive AoE damage in the radius of that target that died. It's a really nice combo. Really, really nice combo. Um, Most people will usually ask me why I don't use Lightning Infusion, why I use Inject Venom. Typically, I notice that it's just easier to stack Poison than it is to stack Lightning Infusion. The Inject Venom does more damage per stack because it's taking each stack, whereas Lightning Infusion is mostly for taking down endurance opponents or tanks. I also think Lightning Infusion is better with Burkent daggers, whereas Inject Venom is better for silent trackers because Inject Venom is anti-heal, anti-health regen, and silent trackers are the Obsidian Peerless daggers. They give you the Fatal Stigma, which is also another anti-heal. So Poison with anti-heal stacks better. Lightning Infusion with Burkent Endurance lower stacks better. So because it's build synergy, LDR. But here are the passives. I like using asceticism. It's really hard to stand still sometimes, but if you can get that extra heavy attack, it does help tremendously. Um, what you could do is, so typically I will use assassin step just for mobility, but you could take out asceticism for flame condensation, or you could take out assassin step for flame condensation for the extra heavy attack. Um, it's just the fact that asceticism is almost instant when you stand still, whereas you have to stack on a target with flame condensation. I do recommend using flame condensation for max DPS, but I like using this build kind of like open world, so the assassin step is just invaluable for repositioning, right? And I already have a lot of heavy attack. Those three passives you can kind of play around with to your preference. Yeah, that is the true mage build. For the Mage Assassin build, this has smokescreen. It is better at countering range opponents, just dropping a smokescreen every minute allows you a lot more survivability. If you need to push a point and you want to stop your team from getting hit, having this smoke screen is insanely helpful. What you could do with this build is drop Fireball Barrage for Hellfire Rain. That way you have the AoE, you get Icy Mire into Hellfire Rain, or you could essentially Icy Mire, Hellfire Rain, Fireball, Inferno Wave, Chain Lightning for like a full AoE combo. Really solid combo. Um, but yeah, it's majority the same. It's slightly different, but they both could work large scale, medium scale. Another variation I like to do with True Mage is you can swap Hellfire Rain for Burning Smokescreen. The points almost transfer seamlessly. You just go from Hellfire Rain to the additional damage and Burning Smokescreen. Burning Smokescreen is more for mobility if you're doing medium scale because you're not going to be getting your meteors off that often in medium scale or small scale. Keep in mind, this is one of the best builds to take down tanks, as you saw in the clips. So, just as a recap, quick recap, you guys, we're going to Icy Mire, Hellfire Rain after we drop our Fatal Stigma, Fireball, Inferno Wave, Chain Lightning, Detonator Bombardment. Um, Ideally, you want a Judgment Lightning before Detonator Bombardment. But yeah, the basics of the combo is really just that Icy Mire, you can Fatal Stigma, because once you hit them with Hellfire Rain with Inject Venom, they're going to get Poison stacks, Burning stacks. And then we can Fireball, Inferno Wave, Chain Lightning, and then Judgment Lightning, Detonator Bombardment, one more time. And then you can follow up with a Fireball Barrage on anyone that's low. Yeah, that is the rotation. Actually, just because I'm asked, let me go ahead and show you guys my masteries. These are my current staff masteries. I'm using Power Surge. I tried the Vitality conversion, and I don't think it's worth it. Even though the mana regen is nice here, and even though I'm not using Mana Ball Eruption, this achievement effect um is worthless, but this achievement effect lowers your damage, and then you get heavy attack if you come up here for the attack. So this is the best variation that I'm currently using of my detonator mastery spec. You will find it in the Questlog as well. And then for the dagger mastery, um, merciless form. Keep in mind that the merciless form increases dagger skill damage, whereas the primal strike increases basic attack damage. Fatal stigma is a dagger skill, so this will increase fatal stigma damage, which is huge. I opted out of strategic exchange. I just don't think it's worth it. I'm going for the primal strike just because I don't want the lower damage on fatal strike. Primal strike is somewhat useless in large scale. However, in the situations that you can stack with your daggers, if someone's ever melee, if you bind them with their melee, you do massive damage. So it is still better than strategic exchange. And the main reason I have it is not for the achievement effect, for the critical damage here, it's for the skill damage here, it's for the hit here. It's for the nodes, it is not for the achievement effect. So even though this is not ideal for large scale, the nodes attached to it are ideal for all situations. Then we have crit, we have attack speed, and we have range. This is a max range build. As you notice, even in my staff tree, I'm getting all of the range nodes that I possibly can. Combat velocity, when we get assassin step, we get attack speed. And this is why I've been running assassin step even in large scale, because without assassin step, you are missing 15% attack speed. That attack speed is crucial for kill fragging, or really just maneuvering around the map. Both kill streaking, maneuverability. Potent toxicity is not that useful because I just don't really use murderous energy. Um, it is somewhat you could potentially replace one of the basic passives like asceticism with it for more consistent damage, but mostly I'm using the nodes here for weaken chance. Weaken chance is largely important, and then the skill damage res and the bind chance are really important as well. Hitting your binds are really important. I'm mostly just using this for the common nodes. Umbral toughness. This is for endurance users. If you are evasion, this does nothing for you. So I'm using magic heavy attack evasion, skill damage res, just to get my umbral toughness. That way, when I shift roll with Shadow Walker, as you'll see here, my endurance is about 1200, and then when I shift roll, I'm gonna have about 1900, close to 1800 ranged. I'm getting really close to those 2K thresholds. It will balance out a bit more once I get some runes. I really want to hit a little bit above 2K to make sure I never get crit. However, as of right now, though, it's not really worth it. So I'm stacking HP on my runes until we get these purple runes, and I can get some more magic ranged endurance from them. But here it is, you guys. This is a nearly complete in-game build. I will continuously give you guys updates as I progress. Really hope you guys like the build. Thanks so much for watching the video. Peace and love, gang.